Welcome everyone. Just letting you know we'll commence our webinar shortly. We'll just give people a few more minutes and we'll start in a couple of minutes.
Peter, have you been watching much of the World Cup? Australia doing pretty well. Well, you've gone on mute.
There we go. Yeah, they did well to get to the round of 16. So yeah, it's a shame that it was a tough opponent. So yeah, a team of they're all stars, even the ones on the bench. So they did really well. It was a good game to watch. I've been watching quite a few other games as well. It's been a good World Cup.
Yeah, it's been a really competitive one with like a lot of upsets. So
yeah, definitely, it's been a good one. And the refereeing's been pretty clean, which is good.
yeah, for sure.
All right. All right, welcome everyone. We'll get our webinar underway. Thank you for joining us and taking the time out to listen to myself and George. So I'm Peter from Bluechip Infotech. I'm the Senior Product Manager here at Bluechip. Augmentt being one of our amazing tools that we have on offer to help your business grow. And today, myself and George will run through on how the old challenge with the Microsoft licensing and how you can sell an enhanced security service offering with Augmentt. So we'll look forward to listening to George run through that with us. So we'll look on how we can offer that as a service, and then also George will run through a demo of the platform, see it in action, and then we'll allow for some questions and from the audience. And if you do have any questions while the presentation is up and running, feel free to just add them into the question section, and we'll do our best to answer them as we can. So I'll hand over to George, who will now present for us, and I'll just make you the presenter, George, and we'll get our webinar underway.
Great. Okay, so can you guys see my screen there?
Yep.
That's the presentation. Okay, great, perfect. Get that set up. Okay, thanks for the introduction, Peter. I will just get rid of that. There we go. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much for the introduction, Peter. Thanks everyone for attending as well. As today, yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Microsoft 365 security services. So just very quickly as an agenda, we're going to be talking a little bit about sort of the lay of the land with Microsoft 365 security. We have quite a lot of resources actually on the Augmentt website about Microsoft 365 licensing. I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with around 6 months ago, they did a pricing increase, and there was quite a bit of confusion and some small print that turned out to be quite serious and impactful towards CSPs and MSPs. So we have some great documentation about that. So we'll kind of touch on that lightly. But really today we're going to be focusing on a sort of opportunity that we at Augmentt have kind of uncovered and put a bit of thought and time into for MSPs to essentially double their Microsoft revenue without increasing the price to the end customer. So I'm very excited to share that information with you later. So starting with M365 security, I just wanted to start off with some of the classic stats, around the increase in breaches that we're seeing. The slide on the left is showing just over time, there's been increases in data compromises, individuals impacted are kind of up in the millions. But for me on the right, I think there's a bit of a misconception sometimes, that hackers, they're kind of in Eastern Europe or North Korea or wherever, but actually they're everywhere. You know, as you can see on this map, like all over America, South America, hackers are everywhere. In terms of cybercrime as a service, it's a full-blown service industry. These guys have great customer service and great products and services on offer. So these are some of the things that you can get on the dark web from cybercrime as a service, whether it's hiring an attacker for, you know, minimum of $250 per job and up, depending on what it is, what nasty things you want them to do, getting lists of stolen usernames or passwords for, you know, 97 cents per set, or buy them in bulk, denial of service. All these things you can go on and pay for on the dark web to, you know, be really disruptive, whether it's to competitors or if you actually just want to go and, you know, try and hack someone. So it's a fully fledged business. And hackers have great customer service. One of the quick stories I'll tell is, I think it was either this year or last year, Dublin Hospital got hacked. And, you know, the guys at Dublin Hospital were like, guys, like, we're a hospital, like we're, you know, in Ireland, we really don't make a lot of money. Like, why are you hacking us? And the hackers were just like, yeah, sorry about that, but like, you're just kind of there as an easy target. So, you know, you got to pay us like this amount of Bitcoin, and here you go. And they're like, we don't have Bitcoin. I'm like, that's not a problem. We'll take you through the process, how to get it, where to send it to, and be on your merry way. And you can have all this personal healthcare information back. So, you know, a bit of dark humor there, but just giving an example of hackers don't care. It's a shotgun approach, and they're going to take what they can get. And really, in my opinion, MSPs are sort of that last line of defense for small to medium businesses across the globe. So in terms of one of the things that we're seeing is, you know, is this cybersecurity bell curve that some people are referring to, which is highlighting the fact that if you know, have really good basic security hygiene, you can protect against 98% of attacks. So things like having least privilege access, you know, less admin accounts, well, that equals you know, less avenues to be breached. If you do things like keep, you know, your software up to date, do backups, enable MFA, all these things, you're going to be almost completely covered. And whilst those things are true, you know, we at Augmentt believe that, you know, it's good to have those things, but there's such a big human element to security these days, and a large part of it is having those configurations in place, but, you know, also making sure that the users at the companies that you're working with have security awareness training and are aware of what things like phishing for details are, right? Because we know that humans can be a weak link in the kind of IT security chain. So just very quickly, for anyone who's unfamiliar with Augmentt, I'm just going to fire through some fast facts here. So we were actually started by the same founders of Enable, who created, you know, that RMM platform back in early 2000, and then built it up and sold it to SolarWinds. We were founded in 2020. We are a Canadian company based out of Ottawa, just over 30 employees now, and we're kind of like an RMM for SaaS, and I'll kind of go into that in a bit more detail later in the presentation. But most important to realize is that we are 100% MSP focused. We only work with MSPs. We don't sell direct to end users, and we take our security very seriously. So we've achieved our SOC 2 compliance, which is great. And most recently, we've sold over 1 million licenses worldwide, which we're very proud of, considering we haven't even been in business for full 3 years yet. So in terms of what Augmentt does and how we help, well, today we're going to be focusing on our secure module, which is our most popular module with MSPs, and is really helping them enhance security for Microsoft. But we also have two other modules, Engage, which is all about increasing the speed and efficiency with which your technicians can resolve, let's say, 80% of the tickets that come through from Microsoft and Google as well. And then we also have Discover, which is providing you with a full list, a full inventory of all the SaaS or cloud applications being used across all of your tenants. So really kind of equipping you with that visibility into who's using what, how often, why Mr. Customer are you using 4 apps that do the same thing. There's a lot of shadow IT in your environment. Let's consolidate your stack and really kind of get a handle on some of this risk that we're seeing. So to kind of present that a bit of a different way, these are our 3 modules, and these are some of the, you know, the things that we're doing to help. Discover really gives you that visibility. Engage is all about your help desk, and then Secure, it's kind of following that NIST framework of being able to audit, protect, and then detect security risky events within your Microsoft environment. So if you want to think about that using a specific example, let's talk about MFA as an example. So if I speak to MSPs all over the world, and one of the things we'll get talking about is multi-factor authentication. And I'll say, you know, do you use MFA? Very simple question. Most people are like, yes. And it's like, okay, do you have it from Microsoft? Yes. Do you have all of your customers set up with MFA for Microsoft? And there's maybe a sheepish look saying, not all of them. Okay, if not, why not? And then some people are like, yes, no, we do have it set up, but we're not really enforcing it or monitoring it. And this is what we're trying to help MSPs understand, that whenever you're in a reactive state, so you might be setting up MFA, but you're not really monitoring or enforcing M365, you're actually limiting the ability for your technicians to manage multiple seats, which is in turn increasing your margin opportunities, because if you can have someone that can double or treble the amount of seats that they're managing because you've simplified the process through technology, and because you're reducing the number of negative security events associated with the account because of proactive security, then that all points to good things. And ultimately, what every managed service provider wants to be is ultimately managed, where excuse me, if we do take MFA as an example, that's where you're actually setting up, monitoring, enforcing, and reporting on M365 security policies and postures. So just kind of give some insight into a specific example of the journey we're trying to take MSPs on. So let's talk a little bit about licensing here for a sec. So, you know, this is actually taken earlier this week from the Microsoft Australian pricing page. There is a ton of information on licenses there, the multiple different types. There's Business Basic, there's M365 for apps, there's stuff for students, for schools, there's Business Standard, there's Business Premium. And when it really comes down to it, we see most MSPs advocating and using and reselling either Business Standard or Business Premium. And I believe, Peter, we've got a quick poll for all the folks attending today. Be very curious to see which you're using more of within your MSP business. Is there more people using Microsoft Business Standard or Microsoft Business Premium?
That's been launched, so hopefully you can see that on the screen. I'm collecting the responses at the moment. Okay, very good. Just give you a couple more seconds.
So are we looking there, Peter? Are more people using Business Premium or are more people using Business Standard?
Okay, so the responses are in. So we've got 44% have selected Business Standard and 56% have selected Business Premium.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so closer to more 50-50 split, the folks on the webinar today. That's interesting. Okay, very cool. Thanks for sharing, guys. All right, so if we talk, if we kind of drill into Business Premium a little bit, a lot of the MSP, and listen, I would say like Business Premium is great, but we're just going to drill into why people think it's great, and then maybe sort of adjusting what we're just presenting an alternative. So a reason why a lot of people select Business Premium is because it provides sort of enterprise level security. But the reality is that when it comes to MSPs enabling Business Premium to their clients, you're only really getting that enterprise level security if you're using 100% of the native Microsoft management tools that come with it. So things like Windows Defender and others. And you know, realistically, MSPs aren't always doing that. They're not getting, you know, Microsoft fully configured with all the security postures and policies. They're not maybe using some of those native tools like Defender or Intune and stuff because they have other tools that they use for that. They have a native backup. They are using an RMM that ticks some of those boxes. And so they may not themselves be getting the best use as an IT service provider out of the Business Premium contract for some clients, right? For other clients, Business Premium might be the exact right choice, ticking all those boxes. But we just want to kind of present another option that might be worth thinking about for you guys today. So this is a couple of screenshots taken from a conversation our VP of product had with an MSP on LinkedIn, and he's just saying, you know, it was around MFA, and the MSP there is just saying, you know, just add a conditional access policy and kind of enforce it, job done. And that's really something that we're looking into and see as a huge and successful way for MSPs to do it. You know, you really only need that Azure P1 license to enable conditional access policies for the whole tenant, a few bucks, and you're done. And there, as you can see, you know, our VP of Ali saying, yeah, preaching to the converted. But here's the real key thing I wanted to highlight for all you MSPs on the call. This is a guy in North America who's saying, you know, we just added the Azure P1 to all of our clients, over, you know, tenants, over 300 different staff, and on the next invoice added a footer note explaining what it did, and they could email us to have it removed. Nobody did. And I find that really, really interesting because, one, I think now as managed service providers move more into sort of risk managers with all the cybersecurity threats that we're seeing, you know, you can really adjust how you have your sales conversations. And a big part of it when it comes to security is just not having this option anymore. Like it is not a do you want this, is we need to secure your account. This is what we need to do in order to make it secure. So this is the actions that we're taking. Here is how much we're charging you for that. And the very simple fact of removing it as a do you want and, you know, can I offer you, and just saying this is happening, remove, and if you don't want it to happen, then you get in touch with us. Setting the default to be that it's going to be a few extra bucks is a completely different sales mindset. Peter, I'll ask you a quick question on this subject. I'll kind of put you on the spot. There is some interesting stats around organ donation for certain countries, specifically countries like Denmark, Brazil, and Costa Rica. And these countries have really, really, really high organ donation rates. And they've got one thing in common. Do you happen to know what it might be?
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say I don't know.
Oh, that's okay. I just put you on the spot because not a lot of, because it is a cool little fact. The reason why these countries have such high organ donation rates is because on the application, which we do at every country, you know, you go to renew your driver's license and there it is. In these countries, it is automatically set to you being an organ donor.
Oh, there you
go. Most people just keep it, and they just say, if you don't want to be an organ donor, that's fine, but you got to let us know, right? And so by setting the default to people being an automatic organ donor, most people are actually happy to be one and just and just continue as planned, right? And I think the same can be true for this cybersecurity focused sales, where if you just say, no, this is important, we're doing this, here's the charge, and if you don't want it, then let us know, and just see who comes back and says no, because it's a different buyer's mentality to say, do I want to spend more money on services with my MSP versus do I want to remove security from what I'm paying my MSP for, right? So just something to think about for everyone here. So, you know, coming back to the licenses, one of the big problems is the cost increase from a standard plan in the United States is $12.50 a user up to $22. In Australia, standard plan is $17.20 and it goes up to $30, you know, over $30. So almost a 100% increase. And so, yeah, that kind of presents a bit of an issue. It can be hard to justify the value or cost increase. And Peter, I think we've got a second poll here, just kind of asking about what some of the challenges are for you guys whenever you talk about managing Microsoft. Is it around costly upgrades? Is it around a more technical aspect? So we should have a poll popping up shortly, and we would love to kind of get your thoughts on what's the big challenge for you.
Okay, can you see that on screen, everyone? Can you see that? Yep, okay. Some responses coming in now, which is good. Just give everybody a little bit more time. Still coming in, which is good. Just give a few more seconds. Multiple choice. Now everyone to get their answers in. All right, so we'll close that now. Okay, we'll share the results. Can you see that? So that's what was the result of the poll. So interesting.
Yeah, very interesting there. Okay, good stuff. Cool. Thanks for sharing that, guys. In terms of the opportunity, this is what we're talking about. So most MSPs don't really benefit from business premium add-ons except for the Azure AD Premium P1 licenses that come included with the business premium plan. That gives you the sort of administrative controls and rights. But the truth is that it's going to cost you over $30, right, for the client, and then you still have to take the time and effort to go in and configure those things and make it secure. What we're proposing for some, again, not all customers, but for some customers, certainly this could be a great option. Get them on the standard plan, which in Australia is $17.20. Buy an individual Azure AD premium license for $9, and then add on security services for a total of $4, okay? And that can be whatever you need it to be, whether you want to add in your backup or your RMM cost or something like Augmentt, but you've kind of unlocked $4 to play with. So the bottom line there is that it's the same price as a premium plan, but you've actually included the cost of your security services, and you're already including your security stack. So what that can look like then, guys, is that let's say if you have a premium plan that you're buying for $30.20, you might bump that up to $35 for the end user. So your revenue, your kind of margin you're making is $4.80. With our proposition, the business standard plus your services included, at $30.20, you've already unlocked some margin already, and then bumping it up to $35, you're actually making $8 and almost $9 there, and so you kind of almost double your revenue, and you've already baked in the costs for increasing with stronger security, not only for the time it takes to configure and enhance Microsoft, but also for the tools like Augmentt and the others that you're using. Okay, so that's really kind of the thing we want to hone in on is there's a smarter way to do things to get paid for the hard work that you're doing. So let's talk a little bit about that opportunity in more detail, specifically around Augmentt Secure, guys. We talked about auditing, protecting, detecting, and within Augmentt Secure, we have the ability to, set up and enable MFA and then provide alerts on them, as well as do that policy management and MFA configuration, and then kind of get live threat reporting, as well as set up alerts for any incoming, bad actor traffic. So really, we're covering both sides of the fence in terms of being, proactive. We've got those audits, we're investigating things, we're configuring things, we're really building the walls there, and then we've got the defense, the reactive. So if there's any misconfigurations, if there's a drop in compliance, if somebody's trying to hack in and there's been leaked credentials, we get live threat alerts as well. So kind of covering both sides of the fence. Now, what that looks like for you as an MSP in terms of, okay, so this all sounds good, but how do I actually make money off this? All right. Well, we've talked about the sort of license increase as well, in terms of unlocking that standard licensing, getting the Azure license, baking in your costs and kind of doubling your revenue. But how you present that to the customer can be something like this. One of the things I'm going to do, Mr. Customer, is we are going to get a little project done called 100% MFA rollout. We know that that's really important. It's going to be a one-time project. We're going to set it up with conditional access. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to get every single one of your staff using MFA, and that is going to dramatically increase the security of your Microsoft account. In addition to that, we're also going to increase your security baseline. So MFA is a key pillar of security, but there's lots of other things we can do within the Microsoft environment to really tidy things up and make things really bolt tight secure. Okay, so that's looking at the audit logs, external email warnings, getting all those bits and pieces set up. We're going to do that for you as well. And then because this is an ongoing cost, we're going to have threat detection. So looking for any, we're going to be monitoring for breaches and reviewing some automated alerts per week. The bottom line there is that you, Mr. Customer, are going to be much more secure, but for you, the MSP, it's high margin and a low effort security service because you're using a streamlined tool like Augmentt in addition to some of your traditional tools to get things set up and kind of use automation to look into this. Going back to what we said about not really giving the customer an option, another way you can do it is give them the option, but it's an A/B choice. Okay, so the auto opt-in, here's another subtle example of it. You can add this to the footer. We have this as a template in our Augmentt Academy. If you become a partner, we provide you with some of these resources. But this has been very, very successful with our existing partners, and there is actually no better time to do it right now than in the month of December, end of the year for a lot of folks. People have budget to spend, people are thinking about 2023, and you can just simply say, as of January 1st, 2023, we will be auto-opting you into the Microsoft 365 Security and Service Management Service. We're going to do this thing in terms of auditing and securing your environment. You're going to get help desk support services included. You're going to get security ops included, and it's going to be for an extra whatever you want to charge for it, $3, $4 a user. Please sign here to accept, sign on the blue line here to accept this security management service. We're all good. Or press, select the red line here, sign there to decline security services and accept all risk from my own Microsoft data and security. And in that way, you kind of relinquish responsibility for the security of that Microsoft account. So if they do get breached or hacked, well, you can cite this as a really good example of, I did provide them with the information, I did offer to fix it for them, they didn't want to pay me to do it, not my problem. And it can really help have those hard conversations with customers who maybe don't want to pay for your services. Once you kind of put the ball back in their court and say, okay, well then you're on your own, you might get a different response. So in terms of Augmentt, what we have on offer today, I think, for me, being in the startup and what I do at the business, I love Derek's quote there from one of our partners at Ignite Solutions. We are much more interested in a partnership than transactions. We have a great team here at Augmentt. We have a wonderful advisory board that's made up of MSPs that kind of keep us honest and really hold us accountable to the product roadmap that we have, to the service that we provide. But I think one of the key things I want to highlight is we do not have a trial or demo account. We give full NFRs and external free licenses as part of our sort of demo account. So there's no 14-day time crunch where you're in a rush to test things. There's no sort of demo account where you only get 50% of the functionality. We will give you Augmentt as the product for free with NFR licenses so you can test internally, as well as external licenses so you can actually roll it out to your clients, see what their data looks like, and even make money on those as well, because we understand that we're only going to be successful if you're successful. So our whole approach is take the product, use it for free, make money on it with some of your free licenses, and then whenever you see how cool Augmentt is, come back to us and talk about actually rolling it out to all of your customers and what that looks like. Even better this year, because we still have this early adopter program, we're on month-to-month contracts, so you can sign up today, cancel in 4 months time or whenever you wish, just by giving 30 days notice. And we also have a full onboarding and go-to-market program. We have even extended our hours to be more friendly to our Australian partners so that you guys don't have to stay up late or get up early. We can hop on a call with you guys around this time or work with you in the morning. And all you need to invest, guys, is 30 minutes. That's it. That's how easy it is to get set up in Augmentt, and we'll even help roll out to your customers as well if you wish. So without last couple of slides here, basically next steps for you guys: stronger security and double your revenue. Pretty simple. Get your free Augmentt licenses. We'll get those set up and provisioned for you immediately. You'll receive an activation email where you can go in and set up your account with a link to an onboarding call, and then roll out Augmentt to your clients and start upselling your services today. I cannot stress enough, guys, that if you get this done today, we can get you set up as soon as you can hop on the phone with us for 30 minutes, and you can start rolling this service out in January. So here's the deal itself. We've got the URL at the bottom there, try.augmentt.com/Bluechip 100 free, or if you prefer to scan the QR code on the screen there, it'll load up a form where you just need to pop in your name and email for the account, and we will get that set up for you. So you get your 100 free licenses, your NFR licenses, and then if you actually want to purchase some licenses, we have that great deal where the standard pricing is 470 Aussie dollars, but you can get it for $299. And whenever we talk about that, guys, it's what we call a site license. So however many seats you need, if you have 500 clients, we'll give you all the licenses you need for $299 per month on that monthly contract. So with that in mind, guys, what we can do is take any questions if there's any immediate questions, and we can definitely we can definitely come back to questions at the end as well. But if anyone has any immediate questions, happy to take those now. If not, we can just jump into a quick demo as well. I'd love to actually show you what Augmentt Secure does and its capabilities.
All right, George, we actually do have a couple of questions. Sorry, I missed one earlier. It asked, what about ATP to cover standard?
ATP to cover standard. I'm not familiar with, I'm sorry, ATP to, like, as in business standard, like the Microsoft licensing? Can you ever ask that question just to expand on it slightly? I'm just not sure what you're asking.
Yeah. And then the second question was more related to Defender and analytics.
Well, what's the question about Defender analytics?
But it's yeah, they've only typed in more related. Yeah, more related to Defender and analytics. So hopefully you can elaborate on that as well. Another question that's just came in. I have a 100-seat license already. Can I find out what they can be used for?
Yeah, for sure, David. I can, I'll take a look at it. Well, the 100 free licenses. So guys, just how this works is basically you'll get a full NFR, right? So you can set that up internally. And then what we do is we give you free external licenses of Augmentt so you can deploy Augmentt to your end users. The reason being is that whenever you set up Augmentt as an MSP, your environment by nature and by necessity is going to be very clean. So the information you see might not be as interesting as whenever you roll it out to a client. Now, specifically on the licenses, what we do is we give you 100 free licenses of our Discover product, so you can roll out Discover and get that full list of SaaS applications. And then with Secure, we give you something called prospecting licenses. Prospecting licenses are free, flexible, floating licenses that allow you to generate the sort of threat reports, which I'll show you now, and so you can use those as a sales tool. So this is kind of an innovative approach that were created by our founders, as I said, who've been working with MSPs for 30 years. They understand that it's a bit difficult sometimes if you're an MSP to buy a tool and the vendor says, here's 500 licenses for $500, there you go, now you go away and work out how you're going to sell it and make money on it. Instead, what we do at Augmentt is say, here's some licenses, roll it out to the client, show them the value that you can provide using this tool, sell them on the service, and then come back to us and then buy the licenses once you've actually made the sale. With those prospecting licenses, you then swap those out for the paid ones and use those prospecting licenses to rinse and repeat that process with your next customer.
Thanks for that, George. So the ATP is their advanced threat protection. How does advanced threat protection business standard cover Defender analytics? How does Augmentt fill the void? So he's elaborated there.
Sorry, I'm just getting these questions up so I can read them to Peter. Give me one sec.
Oh, you can see. Good.
Yeah. I just need to make this a little bit bigger.
Bigger. Yeah.
There we go. So advanced threat protection, does business standard cover Defender and analytics? How does Augmentt fill the void? And I support small customers, not large customers. And if you're referring to email security and Defender, yeah. So a couple of things there. I'll show you how Augmentt fills the void just now. I think with like email security, I think the idea is, or one of the things we're talking about is that so many MSPs have so many different tools. So there'll be some cases where business premium makes sense because maybe it's a larger company and you're getting the most out of it, but you know, if you're already using an RMM or you already have a dedicated email security tool, do you want to be paying more money to Microsoft for things that have an overlap? You know, I think that's just what we're trying to highlight here. So, but maybe what I'll do is I will exit out of this presentation and I'll just hop straight into Augmentt here. Peter, can you still see my screen okay?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. So guys, hopefully, and if you do have any more questions, please just put them in the Q&A. But what I'll do now is I'll just take you through the Augmentt platform. So here we are on Secure, and if we have time later, we can cover Discover and Engage as well. If not, please just reach out to Peter, and I'm sure you know, he can take you through it on a demo as well. But focusing on Secure, guys, technically, at a high level, what's happening here is we are using the Microsoft API to pull in all the information associated across your Microsoft tenants. So we're fully multi-tenant. We can see all the different companies I'm working with as an MSP into one clean user interface. And these are spread out across some different reports. Some are internal facing, some are external facing. The one I'm going to start with first is called the threat report. Okay, so I've got my healthcare client here. We have the ability to export this information as a PDF. I've got a date failure, so I can go as far back as 3 months if I want to. What the purpose of this, guys, is that it's basically bringing in all the threat detections and risks into one clean report here. So the idea being that, you know, you can take this to your customer and say, Mr. Customer, you've got almost 200 bad things happening in your Microsoft account. This trend line is, you know, going up over time because we're not actively, you know, being proactive with security. You're a dentist based in Australia, so I'm not sure why we have risky activity coming from places like Spain or India or China. We have high, medium, and low risk coming in. Microsoft gives you an identity score of only 30%, which isn't very good. Your Microsoft security score is even worse at 25%. And some of the types of risks that we're seeing associated with your Microsoft account include things like impossible travel or leaked credential. Here's your actual top 5 accounts at risk, and we've got 2 global administrators in there, which is really not okay. And in terms of those, you know, almost 200 risky things happening, I can actually go into detail. I can break down the who, what, where, when of each of these activities if you want to get granular. But I can see your eyes glazing over already, Mr. Customer, because we're talking about IT security here. So let's focus on some key pillars. One of the things is MFA. We know that's important to get turned on. Why? Because Microsoft says 99.9% of the compromised accounts they track every month were not using MFA. So we need to get that turned on. And you've got four people that currently aren't using it. And also even things like inactive accounts. Did you know that these 3 accounts in your Microsoft environment with Bruce, Alto, and Everett haven't actually been deleted properly? This is a great opportunity for bad actors to access your environment using kind of inactive accounts without you really being aware. So, Mr. Customer, how do you want me to handle the risk that I've uncovered for you today? That's why I'm suggesting you go in this package for, again, insert your price here. So this is what we kind of, the information we want to generate using those prospecting licenses, so we can present this to our clients and make them aware of why they need to be purchasing these enhanced security services and actually pay you to look after their Microsoft environment. Now, once that's happened, we then want to move to our security posture. Now, this is probably one of my favorite things in Augmentt Secure, and MSP technicians love it. What the security posture report does is we can go to all companies, and it's going to show me my entire IT estate and tell me what's the health check of all my Microsoft clients, who has what configured in terms of the policies and security postures recommended. So we get a high-level overview using this bar chart, and then I can actually scroll down and see, you know, Acme Legal, Acme Marketing, and we can see here Acme Legal actually doesn't have any type of security configurations in place whatsoever. It's got some partially configured, but it doesn't have anything fully completed. So we can click this View Details button, or again, because we're fully multi-tenant, we can use the drop-down menu and click into Legal from here as well. So now with the tenant view, we can see that my legal customer only has 3 out of 15 posture recommendations in place, and of those 3, they're only partially configured. Okay, we've got no green going on here. So coming down to these checks, what this becomes, ladies and gentlemen, is your roadmap as an MSP. So here's all the checks that we need to do. Here's what we need to get from red to green, okay, whether it's admin MFA, user MFA, password reset notifications. This is what we need to do to increase the security. So let's look at user MFA as an example. It's only partially configured. Why? Because we only have 2 of 4 user accounts that have it. Again, now we can go one level deeper and we can actually see, better understand why this is important, okay, in terms of MFA, which I know everyone on this call knows about. And I can see all the accounts. I can see the ones that are compliant or do have MFA, and I can see the ones that don't. Okay, so now we have that information, we're actually connecting the dots within Augmentt, and we have the ability to remediate some of these issues. So I can click my configure tab here, and we have a couple of different options. The first one is from within Augmentt, we can create a new conditional access policy. So we don't need to go into the Microsoft portal. Your technicians can begin to take action and increase security right from within Augmentt by creating a new conditional access policy. Or we can even do the classic Azure per user, kind of, select everyone and blunt enforce, MFA across the board there. For some of these security postures which are a little bit more obscure, let's take, for example, login portal branding, not configured, feature in place, false. Well, what does that mean? Basically, what it's saying is that you, as an MSP, should have your clients' portals branded so that they know that whenever they're logging in to their Microsoft portal, it's their portal and they haven't fallen victim to a phishing attack or something of that nature. Now, today, that isn't something that we can actively configure from within Augmentt itself, but we do provide you with the next best thing, which includes a link to the portal itself, as well as step-by-step instructions and screenshots of exactly how you would do that from within the Microsoft portal. So what you as an MSP owner can do is say, okay, Mr. Billy, my technician, your job this week is to get that legal client of ours, Microsoft, up to speed because they're paying for this service to be enhanced. So I need you to get all of these security checks up to date and in place using Augmentt. Once we have that in place, we've got our posture alerts. All that's doing is simply saying, now that we've got this baseline security standard, the one that we spoke about in the presentation, notify me, okay, if there is a decrease in compliance. So again, using the example of user MFA, let's say somebody turns it off, or maybe there is a new hire that begins and doesn't immediately get MFA set up. That's going to turn, that's going to drop our score. I want to know about when that happens, why that is, so I can take immediate action and make sure they get MFA set up. We even actually have a specific MFA report, which is hugely popular for MSPs to get that high-level overview of the status of MFA across all of their companies. So you can see here the stat. Do they need it? If they need it, do they have it on, and what type of authentication method are they using? So ideally, we want all of our clients looking like marketing, where over 80% of the people at that company are required to have MFA enabled. And of those people that do need it, all of them have it turned on, and we can even see, are they using an app, phone, security key? We can click the details tab here to see the users, see their license type, see what they're using, etc. And of course, we can export that information for reporting purposes. What this allows MSPs to do, guys, as well, is that for the purposes of cybersecurity insurance, if there's ever an instance where, insurance upfront say, do you use MFA? You say yes, and then later on there's some type of incident that requires proof. You can simply use this export to say, yep, I'm a good MSP. I can show you as of this date, this client did have MFA, or no, they didn't, or they turned it off, and kind of provide that visibility that can be essential in processing insurance claims or similar audits. The last few reports, guys, I'll show you our threat alerts and summary reports. We'll just start with threat alerts really quickly. So again, I'll just hop into my legal client here. We'll set it back to 3 months to get some more robust data. As a lot of you may know, Microsoft threat alerts in the portal it's a toggle, right? It's either on or off. And that can be really frustrating for a lot of MSPs if they're dealing with, even as little as 4 Microsoft clients, and they switch on alerts, because then, there's a lot of, yeah, sorry, Peter, was there a question?
Yeah, a question for you. There was a question there. So to use the CA policy via Augmentt, do you need to have the correct licensing with the Microsoft tenancy for that to work?
Yes, you will need a P1 license in order to have that functionality within Augmentt. So to better answer the question, you can use Augmentt Secure on a standard license setup without the P1, but you will just lose access to some. You won't be able to see some of the full details or have access to some of the remediation. So a better way of putting that is to use Augmentt as an MSP. Fully, you can have all your clients on a standard license, and so long as you have one Azure P1 license to get those admin functionality pieces, you'll be fine.
Right. So just one P1 license per tenant.
Yeah, as long as you have one P1 license in there, you'll have the functionality that you need that I'm showing you.
Thanks for clarifying that.
You are welcome.
Cool.
All right, so just back into the alerts here, guys. So basically with Microsoft Alerts, it's kind of all or nothing, and it can create a lot of noise for you in your PSA. Sure, it might be great to get notified if there's been a successful login from a risky country, but maybe you don't want 3, alerts a day telling you about an update that's been done or other informational things. So what Augmentt Threat Alerts within Secure allows you to do is go to settings, and you can begin to basically toggle and categorize and filter what you want sent through to your PSA. So for example, if an admin submission result is completed, that's informational, I don't need a ticket or an alert sent through for that. However, if there's been a successful mailbox permissions change, yes, that is something that I need to see. Or email messages containing malicious file removed after delivery, yeah, 100% want an alert about that. And in this way, you can reduce the noise that is being created in your PSA. We can see here for our legal client, there's a total of 42 alerts generated by Microsoft in the past 30 days, but we're actually only creating tickets for 18 of them. The other cool thing is we can then go in and using some of this, these graphs and bar charts, we can begin to predict some of the alerting that's happening, and in that way better understand the security of an account. So why do these alerts keep happening? Is it a security awareness training thing? Is there something that we need to better configure within the Microsoft environment? It gives you that granular insight into what's happening. Even more so, even better is that you can actually remediate stuff straight from within Augmentt. So let's say we've got an instance here of leaked credentials with Brantley's account. I can simply click this alert and immediately I can reset her password, block sign in, and sign out of all our apps instantly. And just to show you what that looks like, super simple. Am I auto-generating the password or doing it manually? We have rules in place to make sure it's a strong password, but I'm just going to auto-generate it. Require that she change her password whenever she first logs in again using this temporary reset. Again, that's a best practice, so you want to make sure that box remains ticked. And am I sending this to myself to forward on, or am I sending it directly to Brantley's boss? Reset password, done. Same thing, block sign out or sign out all apps, click of a button. Don't need to go into the Microsoft portal itself to do that. Can all be done within Augmentt. So in that way, if an alert comes through, at 9:46 in the same minute, you can immediately take action. All right. So that's pretty cool. The last thing is summary report. This would be the opposite to the threat report. So once you've actually got that baseline security up and running, this is to kind of show the continuous value that you're offering month to month, quarter to quarter, or compiling this as an annual report. And again, we've got that date filter so you can go back as far as you need. What you're highlighting here is, Mr. Customer, I've actually prevented 15 serious incidents or attacks against your account this month. The trend is now going down. So whilst we're never going to be at zero, because there's always going to be people out there trying to attack you in one way or another, the line is going down now. Why is that? Because we've increased your identity score and your secure score. How? We've increased multi-factor authentication. Here's some more information on the types of incidents I've prevented, whether it's intercepting, risky sign-ins or blocking risky users, countries, IP addresses, things like that. And I can actually expand the detail of who, what, where, when of those incidents if you want to review them in detail. And of course, you can export this information to have it sent out as a report via email, or if you need to print it off for an in-person meeting. So that is kind of secure in a very kind of fast demo. Happy to go into more detail on anything anybody wants to see while we have some time, or if anyone has any questions, happy to answer those as well.
Yeah, George, there's another question there. Can you block apps and Chrome from installing?
Good question. Yeah, I can see. Can you force Windows updates or certain apps to be installed? David, no, not currently. So one of the things that Discover does, so I'll just show people quickly here, just so everyone has an idea of what Discover looks like. Again, it's giving you that full list of applications. So if I go to marketing, here we can see all the apps that marketing are using. I can sort it by alphabetical order. I can see the days active. I can click on users and see, okay, great, it's a marketing agency. Everybody's using Adobe. We want that, but here's, restricted high risk application like Dropbox. Well, who's using that? it's Deja, Bonnie, and Candice, and they're kind of using it fairly frequently. We need to address that. To answer your question, David, we don't actually block applications specifically, and it might be something we introduce in the future, but I think one thing that we've been really good at to this point is kind of staying in our lane and focusing on the specifics of Microsoft security and management. We know that blocking can be done with DNS tools, RMMs. There's a lot of other stuff out in the market there that MSPs already have access to and are paying for. So, and we know, you guys don't want more tools and more portals to log in. So, but yeah, it's certainly something that if there was enough requests from that type of functionality, we could definitely kind of increase its urgency in the product roadmap for sure. That's one of the nice things about being a startup is we're incredibly responsive to partner requests.
There's another question there. Do you integrate with USecure end user training program?
No, we do not integrate with user end user training program currently, but we are actively in discussions with partners. That's a pretty big area that we're looking for some strategic alliances in terms of that end user training program, because as I said at the start, one, we can get all of this stuff set up, use the MSP, can get everything at like in the 90% in terms of secure scores, set up MFA, and if someone gets phished or says the wrong thing or responds to a dodgy email, it's all for nothing. So we understand that's a huge element of it. It's not something that we're going to get actively involved with, again, because we want to stay in our lane, but we are currently in some discussions with kind of end user training or security training or phishing training vendors for sure.
And then there's one question here. How often does Augmentt recheck the security posture?
It's fairly instant, probably within a few minutes, because it's all done through the Microsoft API. So if you make a change in the Microsoft portal, it should automatically update a few moments later in your Augmentt portal. But our hope is that certainly for some of your staff members, maybe like the junior technicians, the idea is that you don't have to give them access to the portal where they might do some more damage than good. You can say, log into Augmentt, go to secure, go to our marketing client, go to the security posture, see what needs to be fixed there, and make sure that the posture alerts are set up so that once you get everything green, we know if anything changes. And then that way you don't need to keep logging in and checking it every couple of hours or double checking things. You kind of do the hard work up front that we help you with and make easy, and kind of set it and forget it.
Okay, excellent. So that looks like we've covered all the questions. So yeah, that brings our webinar to an end. And so we thank everyone for joining us and listening to the webinar this morning. If you've got any further questions that may come up or would like to know more information or even do a personalized demo, please feel free to reach out to myself at msp@bluechip.com.au, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through that and do that for you, especially if you have any questions on how to get those free licenses and things like that, and the onboarding. Yeah, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will be more than happy to get you access to all those free tools and also the free onboarding to get you up and running.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I can't stress enough how much it shocks me to hear that some other vendors actually charge MSPs for an onboarding call. At Augmentt, super simple to get set up. We can have everything up and running in 30 minutes, and your account can be looking like this with all of your tenants added. We can even help you roll out to some of your clients so that you can instantly start presenting this information, upselling your security services, all with your free licenses, so nothing to pay up front, and those licenses are free forever, right? So get a little taste, get the ball rolling, and then come speak to us about pricing, and if you sign up this month, you're locking in that early adopter pricing, that's at a significant discount. So
yeah, so take full advantage of that early adopter pricing. It is a great promo on offer running till the 21st of December, and that way you can have a great saving there and get that special pricing for the life of you using the current product. So we'll end our webinar this morning. So once again, thank you for joining us, and thank you, George, for giving us the insights in terms of how we can offer Microsoft security services and the benefits of using Augmentt in conjunction with that. So thank you to all, and that concludes our webinar. So thank you to everyone.
Thanks so much, Peter. Thanks, everyone.